Pop quiz. What car has 245 brake horsepower, 500 newton meters of torque, and a 0 to 60 time of 6.3 seconds? You're wrong. It's the Audi A7. The A7, man. A7 in a 3-litre TDI is actually a bit quicker than the petrol version. It is. 0 to 60, 6.3 seconds. To put that in perspective, the Nissan 370Z that we had a few weeks ago, which is a true, proper, blue-blooded sports car, that has the 0 to 60 time of 6.4 seconds. This is a Quattro model, and so with a Quattro model you get 4-wheel drive. Most of the power is actually shunted to the rear, but when you want it, it's shunted to all 4 wheels. The torque is just amazing. It's just relentless. It just keeps coming. 500 newton meters of torque come at you all at once you reach 4,000 revs. You'll find when you click car, you bring up a list of what the car can do. At the moment it's just in auto mode. Comfort mode slows down the throttle response, lightens the steering and changes the gear ratio, which allows you to be able to kind of coast places and keeps the revs down as well. When you go into auto mode, that's just the car picks its own thing as to what it wants to do. What way you behave behind the wheel will dictate the way the car reacts. When you go into dynamic mode, that's a whole different ballgame. I actually physically feel the car kind of sit up and pay attention. The revs go up, it drops down a gear. On the dashboard it says S5 rather than D5. And the steering becomes much more heavy, much more pointy, and much more direct. So when you point the nose into a corner, the rest of the car seems to pivot around your hips. And that means when you touch that accelerator, it's like treading on a nuclear bomb. It just roars at you, and you just get shoved back in your seat. Your head goes back every time it changes gear. It's just amazing. Absolutely amazing. The one thing that the 3-litre manages to achieve that I haven't seen in many other things is economy. They say you get 6 litres per 100 kilometres from it, and believe it or not, you actually do. I've tried it. I drove to Cork and back in this car, and yes, you do. It's amazing. From an engine as powerful as this, as fast as this, with as much acceleration as this one has, it's just weird to see it happen. This car has a proper feeling of luxury. You feel like you're in a first-class lounge or in a first-class seat on an airplane. You just feel that the cabin interior, everything is beautiful inside the car. It's perfect. You couldn't ask for a better car to have as a motorway cruiser. There's 2 reasons behind that. One is the cabin is very quiet. We are now doing just a shade over 120. There's not a sound in here. No engine noises, very little wind noise. I just hear a small rumble from the tyres. That's because there's 20-inch wheels on this. 20-inch. With Yokohama tyres that are about as thin as my hair. The other factor that comes into this as well is that it has radar guidance. And that allows me to be able to lock on to the car in front of me. So I'm going to do that now. And when I click that I want to follow it, you see the dashboard lights up. I set 120 as my maximum speed that I want to go. He's not doing that. He's actually doing 113. And down below it says I'm locked on to the car. Now from this point on, I can just put my feet away from everything. I will just continue. If he slows down, I'll slow down. If he speeds up, I speed up. You have to make sure the car is actually locked on to him but it'll keep the distance. I can also change my range to the car so I can get closer. The car begins to accelerate now to close that gap up for me, and I can make it further away. Now it takes a while for the system to settle down, but you can use it through a town. I've done that, but you can't rely on it in a town. It doesn't see around corners, it sees straight ahead, and that's all it does. Right, here we go. Now, we're going off the motorway here, and I'm not going to touch anything, right? So the radar's locked on to the back of the Audi A3. There's actually 3 cars or 2 cars in front of him as well. Now, if this all goes wrong, Mammy, I love you, but I can't help it, and I'm sorry, I'll have to leave the country because this car is not cheap. So if it all goes wrong, we could be in trouble. But it seems to be braking. It seems to be braking. I hope it's going to brake an awful lot harder than that. Brake hard, brake hard, brake hard, brake hard. But no, it's okay. It's okay. It's all cool. It's the Audi. We're okay. So we're going to have to show it to you at night time. And to do that, I'm going to have to leave it here for the day. At night, this car changes into something much more of a predator, a kind of a modern day Batmobile. You feel like hunting down some criminals and maybe making them pay for their indiscretions. And on the inside, things completely change. You get a soft ambient glow greeting you when you get into the car. When we're in, you get to shut the door. And in here, you see these red lights around that entice you to start the engine. So we will. Then the whole car comes to life. Screens come out of the dashboard, a nice red glow comes on to light this whole area in here. Everything that's in the car just comes to life at night time. It's such a nice place to be. Not only that, but the screen here has a sat nav. It darkens out at night time. It's your telephone, and it can play DVDs. Everything's included. Not only do you get the sat-nav screen, but you also get 4-zone climate control. I can control my own temperature, passenger has there, and the rear passenger have their own climate control. It's a brilliant system. Everything in here is ergonomically designed, so everything is where it should be in a big Audi. It's absolutely brilliant. But you've also got this infrared screen in here. At night time, the infrared is active. And when it becomes active, it looks along the curbs and along the road for pedestrians and classifies them according to threat category. If you see a yellow box around them, you won't hit them. If there's a red box, you might just hit them. But the car will interfere with that and will remind you immediately by pulling your seatbelt very tight. And if you don't do anything at all, the car will stop itself. It's a great system. Everybody should have one. As a package, the Audi A7 really works. All of those toys you've seen, even the infrared lights are working perfectly. Voice control, perfect. They all come at a cost. The entry level of this starts at 62 grand and some. The top of the range, this one with the 20-inch alloys and the kind of Batmobile look, that comes at 87 grand. But would I buy one? You're bloody sure I would.